I have something I need to, I want to personally invite each and every one of you to my 8th degree test next August. From 7th degree to 8th degree is a 7-year wait. And so I've been there for a while, and one more year, and then I'll be testing. But alongside of me, he will be testing for his 7th degree, will be Master Dennis Brewer. In the last couple of years, Master Brewer and I have become really good friends, and I'm looking forward to having an opportunity to test alongside of him, and we're going to continue to work out together and make some trips to see some grandmasters so they can kind of give us the okay between now and then. We'll do the best we can to have it as close to home as possible. Right. There's a thesis for every degree, and you'll hear a couple of these black belts get up here today and say something. Now, the first degree and second degree are either about what's my black belt mean to me, or second degree is about the tenets. Third degree and above, it gets into sometimes more technical skill. So we have an instructor today testing for his, black belt today, testing for his 3rd degree black belt, Mr. LaShawn Miller. Right. Mr. Miller's thesis was a little on the technical side, and I don't know if he'd want to come up here and read that one, but I have an opportunity for him to come up here and tell what his 3rd degree black belt means to him, and this is his first notice knowing that. So, you're on the spot, Mr. Miller. And thank you, sir. In trying to work in the Taekwondo University for the last many years, teaching over 27 years, and the Taekwondo University becomes 25 years old November the 6th of this year, so we have an opportunity to have a big celebration. But in that process of doing that, I've always known that I've been on purpose around accomplishing the things that I want to accomplish with the students that we train. And with that, I've kind of come to call this program that we have, the Live Your Potential program. And in the last 2 years, I've been writing and tweaking and changing and making everything and putting everything in written form so I can present this as my 8th degree thesis. And not only that, but I've had a book doctor working with me for the last 6 months. So I will be presenting this thesis, this 200-page thesis, in a written form as my 8th degree thesis. But it's also, hopefully, if the Lord willing, the creek don't rise, it'll be a published book before I test for my 8th degree. Now, that's the goal. And I know several of you have been asking about it, because just about every time you walk up to the front desk and you see me on the computer, that's what I'm doing. I'm in the middle of writing my book and working on it and trying to take some of those lessons and put them back into the classes so increase the quality of the discipline and focus and confidence of the students. Now, in the book, there's a lot of stories that connect to some principles, and I want to share one quick story with you before we get started. It was my first Taekwondo, it was not my first Taekwondo test, it was my student's first Taekwondo test. It was many years ago. I just graduated Henderson State University. And my instructor, Master Gary Dowles, he said, let's set you up a club. And we went to a little community called Glenwood, Arkansas, just a little farming community. We found a little small room. I mean, it was small in the city hall. And City Hall was everything. It was the fire department, the police department, it was where you pay your electric bill, and it was everything. But it was still small. And the little room that we was using had a little kitchen beside it, and I had to go in. I'd have to go in and clean, so I was the head janitor and the #1 salesperson, and I was the only instructor and the chief bottle washer. I mean, I did it all. But in the process of doing that, after about 3 months of training and getting new students, we had our first test. And Master Dowles came and he brought 3 judges. Man, I was nervous as a cat on a hot tin roof. And finally, the students, they gave their best effort, and then it was over. Well, after the tournament was over, we went back into Hot Springs and stopped at Rod's Pizza Cellar so these guys could, I thought, help me celebrate the evening. And on my way, I was just elated, thinking, man, this has been a dream come true. I'll become a Taekwondo, and I've graduated college, and I've become a black belt and a major tournament competitor, and now I'm an instructor, and I've had my student's first test, and I was like the top of the world. And as we sat down, the pizza started arriving. After they congratulated me on this milestone, one of the judges looked at me and he said, well, as far as my judging was concerned, my scores were a little high comparative. And I said, well, what do you mean, sir? He said, well, if you'd have been an existing school, I'd have scored them lower. But since it's your first school, I've scored your students higher. Man, I just felt like a dagger and stuck in my heart. I thought, oh no. And you know, I smiled like I appreciate the criticism. I did not. And the second judge looked at me and he said, you know, sir, I did that too, but since it was your first testing, I kind of scored them higher as well. Second dagger, right in the heart. And the third guy said, yeah, me too. And here I am with no appetite at this moment, and 3 daggers stuck in my heart. And Master Dial says, yeah, we got some work to do, but this pizza sure is good. And I thought, work to do? What do you want me to do? Dig my own grave over here? I'm dying here. That night, I questioned everything. Should I be a Taekwondo instructor? Have I chosen the wrong career? Were my students bad? Do I not know what I'm doing? It was a tough night. I woke up the next morning, I wasn't upset anymore. I was downright angry. I went straight to the library and I picked every book I can on teaching theories, and I started trying out all these teaching theories in every one of my classes and trying to figure out which one worked and which one didn't, what do I need to do to improve. And I'd drive home in the evenings and try to figure out what worked and what didn't, and how I wanted to repeat my successes and not repeat those that failed. And I continued to do that for 3 months until the next testing. I asked Master Dawes, I said, can you bring those 3 judges back? I want those guys back. And so he did. He came back and they did, and I passed out the testing rosters, and I asked each one of them separately. I said, please judge honestly. At the end of the testing, every one of them had scored higher than they did before, and every one of them complimented the quality of our students. And I had rehearsed many hundreds of times. At that moment, I looked at each one of them right in the eye and I said, thank you. Because sometimes we don't understand what we're really trying to learn here. And the criticism that it gave me was not the problem. The problem was my inadequacy. So I had to figure out, am I going to fight, flight, or bury my head in the sand? Bury my head in the sand would do nothing more than me have to try to eliminate in my mind that there's any deficiencies at all. And I know I'm not perfect, so I have some. I might as well face them. If I fly, what am I running from? Am I running from my own deficiencies? Am I running from the people that are trying to help me? So I decided to fight. But we have to define what fight is. In sparring, when we spar, that's a fight. But the person across from us, they're not our adversary. They're our sparring partner. That's what we call them. They're not our enemy. They're not trying to ask us to fight a death match. They're trying to make us better at what we do. And that's a very important part of the understanding that you need to understand when you get out, when you're coming through the ranks, because it's your job to continue to improve your quality at every step. And so when somebody hits you and they hurt you, the first thing that you need to do is understand how to block it. But if you hit somebody too hard because it's a controlled environment, the first thing you need to understand is how to say, forgive me. So we have rules that apply, and there's rules in life as well. And some of those rules are we need to study and work really hard to try to eliminate the deficiencies that we have in our life. Because if we will do that, then we will improve. And if we don't try to improve, then we don't succeed. My prayer is that my Live Your Potential program will change your life. May all your dreams come true.